Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE SummerSlam 2020 preview and predictions. We have got quite a few matches on the show. We've actually got 8 already announced, none of which have been officially announced for the pre-show yet, which means that either 1 or 2 of these matches is going to get kicked to the kickoff, or they're going to add a match or 2 for the kickoff. But either way, we're going to talk about the 8 matches that have been officially announced so far. John, I'm curious if you're excited for this show, how you're feeling. I know Smackdown was a bit of a letdown tonight, but I don't know how much that really spoiled your view of SummerSlam. So tell everyone.
Well, when I think about the build to SummerSlam, and that go-home show for SmackDown was awful, and Raw was okay, but I had problems with that too. I think if I'm being really honest, and I personally think this might even be a bit generous, I think my hype clocks in at a 6.5 out of 10, and I think a lot of that hype is really carried by the women. I got to give Bayley, Asuka, and Sasha a shit ton of credit, because I think the work they've done is just some of the shit I care about the most for SummerSlam. And I would say, despite the horrible things they did tonight, and by horrible I mean just straight up boring, Braun versus Fiend still's got my interest, especially with Otis as an X factor with the briefcase. So I think all those things together give me a 6.5. Hell, I even have a bit more hype for like Mandy and Sonya, just because how are they going to handle that than say like Street Profits versus Andrade and Garza. Which is a shame, because Andrade and Garza and like, but really all 4 guys are really talented in their own ways, and I should care more. I just don't. So yeah, I think 6.5 is where I'm at. I'm more curious where you're at. Well, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm right around that same place. I'll say 6. But yeah, man, I'm really, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle here. I'm like, there's going to be some stuff that I'm looking forward to, and you mentioned the women. That's a big part of what I'm looking forward to. Honestly, low-key, Drew versus Orton, I've hated the build. It's bored the shit out of me, but I'm still looking forward to that match because I love the way they interact when they're in the ring with each other as far as actual match ring time goes. We saw them interact at Survivor Series this past year. We saw them interact on like the post-Survivor Series Raw, I think it was, and it was fucking great. Or actually, I think it was actually the Royal Rumble is what it was. It was the Royal Rumble and then the post-Rumble Raw. And Drew just kind of getting the upper hand on Orton on like slap, chop exchanges I loved. So I'm hoping to get more of stuff like that. Braun Fiend, yeah, I am looking forward to it because I'm looking forward really to see if the Fiend is still kind of as overpowered as he was at one time. Because we just haven't seen him. Literally, the last time we saw the Fiend, he beat John fucking Cena at WrestleMania, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they've done a really good job, I would say, of keeping the Fiend for the big shows. Like the last time we saw him was at WrestleMania, and now the next time we're going to see him is at SummerSlam. So they're obviously making a point of saving the Fiend for the bigger shows. They actually found storyline reasons to do that this time, so I can appreciate that for sure. The women's matches I'm stoked for. And let's see, what else is on this? A bunch of shit. So yeah, it's those 4 matches that I'm stoked for, and everything else kind of sucks.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so let's just start with one of the 2 matches that has no stakes, and I would argue the match that I hate the most on this show, and that's Dominik Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. Everything about this I just hate.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this match a good bit, really, in our catch-up commentaries and everything. So I just really do not give a fuck about what main roster WWE is putting out. So I'm just gonna make this quick and painless. I think Dominik Mysterio is gonna win.
Same.
I think, yeah, Dominik Mysterio to win and finally get revenge for his father in an angle that made nobody and probably made some people worse off. Looking at you, Alistair, with the one eye you got left. And well, Murphy, I'd say, is about I'd say he wasn't demoted, but I don't think he was elevated by this either.
I mean, you're right, absolutely, that Alistair has definitely suffered the most at the hands of this angle, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I will say, though, the biggest thing in my mind that's like the reason why Dominik is going to win is because he just has more help. Like, Alistair could show up. We never know. Fully expecting Mysterio to show up. Carrillo will show up. Owens might show up. Joe is probably going to be there. at ringside, so he's probably going to end up helping in some way. There's just a lot more as far as reinforcements go on the side of Dominik Mysterio than there is for Seth, because Austin Theory's been out, and even if he magically comes back right now, there would still only be 2 guys, because it would be him and Murphy, and AOP haven't been around in forever. I think one of them got injured. So at most, Seth has 4 men as backup, whereas Dominik could have upwards of like 6. Because if you think about it, Dominik's definitely going to have Ray. That's a 1. He's most likely going to have Carrillo. That's 2. He's probably going to have Alistair, assuming he comes back from his eye thing. That's 3. Joe is 4. Kevin Owens is 5. And there's probably someone else that I'm just forgetting. But yeah, I'm expecting Dominik to have more backup. At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought back fucking Cain Velasquez for this shit, because it just seems like everyone's coming out of the woodwork for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dominik, I've got winning. I'm not happy about it, but it's kind of funny because this feels very similar to the Adam Cole-Pat McAfee match, except Pat McAfee is a better performer than Dominik.
Yeah. Yeah, totally unironically, yes.
Right? Yeah, like Pat cuts better promos. He's got better physical presence. Like, everything that we've seen so far, Pat McAfee's better than Dominik. It's just a matter of who can really kind of go in the ring. And I'm assuming Dominik will be better as far as the in-ring goes than Pat, but I'm not writing Pat off because he does have some training under his belt. So we'll see. Next up, though, let's talk about Sonya and Mandy in the what the fuck happened tonight street fight. Or no, that was the street fight was the Seth Dominik match. It's a no DQ match, though, and it's loser leaves WWE now. So it escalated very quickly. It went from I want to fight you to hair versus hair to fuck hair versus hair. I want you to leave the WWE, and I don't want there to be rules.
Again, going to make this really quick. I thought of this the moment this tip was announced. I think Mandy's going to win, but Sonya's going to stay on the product as a member of Retribution because she's going to have to go Renegade because she lost her job. So Mandy wins. Sonya becomes an official part of Retribution when they finally have a core group set. So that's my prediction.
Interesting, because I'm probably overthinking this, admittedly. But I wonder what made them decide to do away with the hair versus hair stip.
Maybe, I don't know. Again, dude, that company has so much internal chaos. There might not even be a coherent reason for why they did away with it. Because I can't think of one. You know what I mean? So, it seemed straightforward enough. It seemed like it was telling a great story because Sonya's been saying the whole time, man, he's only gotten by on her looks. And it just seemed like the perfect encapsulation for the narrative they were going for. And then it's just now, well, Sonya's just so sickened at the sight of Mandy, she wants her to leave. Which, isn't far out of pocket. I don't blame the women, and I barely blame the writing, but, you really could have been building this up a lot more. If we were going to do Loser Leaves WWE, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I would have wanted more segments maybe with Mandy and Otis, with Otis kind of fretting, well, what if you're not around anymore? I love you, or something like that, and kind of playing up that tension. And Sonya just being so focused because, I can't leave because I still have championships to win and everything. By doing this so late in the game, I think you undercut this match. And I think it's really a shame because I'm not hating on Mandy and I'm not hating on Sonya. I think they've done the best with what they've been given. And I feel like you're cutting the legs out from underneath them when you pivot this quickly. And it's now we have a complete tonal shift that we have to readjust to with no content to go with it, as far as that perspective is concerned. So it sucks. But like I said, I feel like Sonya's going to lose, but she's not actually going to leave the company. She's going to go Renegade and be a core part of Retribution for their female representation. And it might be a good thing for her career. Who knows? So.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure coming into this who I was going to end up picking, but I don't know. I kind of had this weird feeling that Sonya basically had a fucking, what are they called? What's a life-changing experience, John? Give me a word.
Epiphany.
Thank you. Yes. I think Sonya might have had an epiphany, and realized I don't want to fucking give my hair to this company that doesn't give a shit about me. I'm leaving. So she's just going to leave now. So I guess I'll pick Mandy too.
All right, interesting. I like how we have two different perspectives, and you're like, no, they're really sticking to this loser leave step, and I just think it's a long con to get Sonya in a bigger storyline with the narrative reasoning of, well, I had to do it. I had to go rogue with these people because I had no other option. So we'll see what they decide.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Next up, and by the way, if there is still a hair versus hair stip, I think Sonya's going to look fucking amazing bald.
Yes.
She would have if they would have stuck with it, but I don't think that. So I don't think that this is any longer. I'm pretty sure that they changed it. I'm pretty sure that it is no longer hair versus hair. It is exclusively loser leaves WWE with the stipulation of no disqualification. Like, I'm pretty sure that's all it is. That's all Wikipedia has it listed as. There's nothing about hair versus hair anymore.
Yeah, Sonya explicitly said, like, I don't give a damn about my hair, and she might have said
that was
something
Sonya. It was Sonya. Yeah, she said, I don't give a damn about. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
So yeah, but Alex was saying that in the chat, and if anybody in the chat can provide any kind of proof that it's still hair versus hair, please do, and we will kind of make that announcement before we close out if we can. But otherwise, I'm assuming that it's not that anymore, and that it's just the loser leaves WWE. So curious. I like your idea of her joining Retribution, though. That's cool. I mean, it would be a hell of a lot cooler if she was bald and joined Retribution, but again, maybe she just decided that the company wasn't worth giving her hair to. And that's a respectable decision for sure. So let's move on. Next up, we've got the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. And God, this is like the worst thing going on Raw, honestly. I hate everything about this feud.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. I would honestly say tag team wrestling across the board in WWE, even NXT, where I feel like it was kind of an oasis for tag team wrestling, has just across the board been like a pan division right now. Because I mean, Shinsuke and Cesaro on SmackDown are cool, but like look at what they were doing tonight, like Lucha House Party, which I like them in ring, but they've never really been credible to me. So yeah, it's just been a rough time for tag team wrestling. And yeah, these four people in particular, I mean, the poisoning of Montez Ford. Jesus fucking Christ. You want to talk about carny shit. Fucking hell. Yeah. I just want to say, for the record, because I'm definitely feeling myself, and by feeling myself, I mean I'm feeling a lot of sour grapes going down this card. Andrade is so much better than all of this shit. And I know we could pipe in and be like, all these guys on some level are, and that's true. But, like, I really wanted to emphasize Andrade.
Especially Andrade, yeah, exactly.
Especially Andrade, because I'm just like, why aren't you in the hunt for the WWE title right now?
Yeah. The man honestly, that dethroned the current WWE champion for the world title in NXT got beaten by him in like 8 minutes on a random episode of Raw and hasn't sniffed that scene since.
Yeah, multiple times I might add, because they ran that TV match back, and it was just always free, always non-title, and never anything special. Yep. Not from an in-ring standpoint, but just from like WWE's presentation standpoint. Yep. So Andrade is so much better than this fucking shit right now. That said, I actually think him and Garza are going to win this. Like, yeah. I feel like Street Profits are kind of circling. So, like, what do you do? You know? And, like, they already kind of told
It doesn't help that there just isn't anyone on Raw. Like, right now, you're either feuding with Andrade and Garza for the next 3 months, or going back to the Viking Raiders well, which I don't think anybody necessarily wants, or, like, fucking Tozawa's Ninjas. Like, what other choice? Like, who else is there?
I honestly would love to see them. Now, it's rare that we see a tag team amicably split, but, you know, they lose the tag titles and be like, yo, you know, Dawkins, like, getting poisoned, it made me put, I can't even believe I'm saying that with a straight fucking face. It made me put my career in perspective and made me realize, like, you know, tomorrow isn't promised, and I really want to see what I can do, man. So I want to go and do my own thing. Dawkins just be like, cool, maybe even attacks him for it, 'cause it's like, how dare you leave me? But, you know, whatever. I think Garza and Andrade are going to win this, and I don't like it because I think Andrade is so far above the tag titles. Nothing against Garza, but, like, fucking hell, Andrade should be main eventing. Like, I don't even give a shit that he pissed hot. Compared to what other people are getting away with in the business today, Andrade pissing hot doesn't even register for me, okay? Like, get this dude in the fucking main event.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. Dude, that's pretty much where I'm coming from, too, is, like, they just don't seem to know what they have in certain guys. Like, even tonight on SmackDown, I'm thinking, like, they're really going to try and make Dominik Mysterio the next Rey Mysterio when they literally have Kalisto on their fucking roster, and that dude does everything Rey could ever do, and he does it cleaner, arguably. Like,
yeah,
whoever gets pushed there's nothing to do with talent. There is about here's a good one for you. There is about as much correlation between talent and getting pushed in WWE as there is between the population wanting something to be a law and Congress making it happen.
Yeah, pretty much. Jesus. So Just to reiterate, if you haven't said already, who are you locking in for this tag title matchup? Because you know
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I actually think that we're going to get a title change here. I think that Andrade and Garza are going to win because in my heart, I want to say Andrade's above this and they need to lose here so that he can move on to bigger and better things. But in my brain, I know that Vince has no interest in giving him anything bigger and better to do. And so he's probably just going to lock him down with this fucking lead shoes that are the tag titles. And then maybe you're right. Maybe Montez and Angelo will break up. Maybe we'll get that Montez Bianca power couple that we've been calling for since NXT.
Oh, I fucking wish.
I know, that would be amazing. I don't expect it to happen. It would be really cool if they would even get close to doing that. But yeah, man, that's what I expect. I expect Andrade and Angel to actually win the titles. And especially because they've been getting fucking destroyed every step of the way. Especially Andrade. Andrade beat Montez because Montez passed out. And then in the subsequent weeks, lost to both Dawkins and Montez in sub 5-minute matches clean.
This was the same guy that pushed Gargano to the limit in Philadelphia at a
takeover
and beat him and had match of the year. Yeah. And you're doing
I mean, you say that like Gargano's a big deal, but like this dude beat Drew McIntyre clean.
Yeah, beat Drew McIntyre. Yeah, because I only mentioned that too because you're saying like 5 minutes or under. And I'm just saying, this dude could put on clinics, and you're doing this. Just, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
Yep.
Okay, next.
Yeah, let's move on. We've got Apollo Crews defending the U.S. title against MVP with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin banned from ringside. I like the ban from ringside stip, and because of that, I'm going to pick Apollo to retain.
I'm going to pick it too. The only other comment I want to make, because I really don't want to stay on this match too long, I like the Hurt Business, actually. I am a fan of the idea and everything. I just want them to get a little bit of momentum here. It seems like they're kind of circling the drain with these mid-carders in Apollo, Cedric Alexander.
Cedric, Ricochet, and Ali.
Ricochet, Ali. Now, if Cedric turns, I'm guessing Apollo's not going to turn, which is kind of unfortunate. I would have really liked to heal Apollo. I'm just saying they need to move forward. And it's funny because when we were talking about Montez doing singles, I doubt we'd get the power couple, but I would also accept as an alternate Montez being a part of the Hurt Business. Get that dude in a fucking suit.
Either one of them. Hell, both of them.
Yeah.
If they lose, they don't even have to break up. If they lose, they could be like, maybe we need some help. And they join the Hurt Business and they win the tag titles back with MVP's help. That'd be dope as fuck.
That could be dope too. I just picture those guys, maybe getting more of a serious gloss, and I think there's money there. I like the Hurt Business. It just this is going on way too long for me without any meaningful development. I would have even forgiven it if Cedric turned on Apollo, but maybe he's kind of withholding his hand. Maybe he's even going to do that at SummerSlam because it said Lashley and Shelton are banned from ringside. That's oddly specific. We don't know if we're going to get a run in from Cedric or something to help MVP win. So you know what?
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going to go with MVP to win with help from Cedric Alexander.
Damn.
I'm going to put all my money on the table that Cedric Alexander is going to commit.
You know what? No, I love that. I hope you're right. Just because, what a fucking shot. It's like fucking calling your shot, stepping up to the plate, pointing at left field, and then cracking the ball in that exact direction with a homer.
Well, dude, just if I could just say that, because, I know you build it up like that, and I agree to a point, but I also do think there's, a foundation here, because, one, this isn't the first time, last Monday, that, MVP has solicited Cedric to join. He's done it before. But then, if you're Cedric, he won the 24/7 title, pinning Shelton when MVP, and then we're dealing with that 6-man elimination tag match. But then he defended it successfully against Tozawa, and then Shelton got pay dirt afterwards. So if I'm Cedric and I'm going to the back, it's man, I really can't beat these guys. Even when I think I'm one step ahead of them, they just keep beating me. And as the adage goes, if you can't beat them, join them. So I think, I'm actually going to switch last minute. At first I was going to agree with you about Apollo. I think MVP is going to win the United States title with Cedric's help because it protects Apollo and the Hurt Business gets a new member. And even though I would have preferred it to be Apollo, Cedric's talented enough he could pull this shit off. And with MVP talking for him, could be some good shit if only WWE cared about the good shit that they have, which they don't. So it is what it is.
Yeah. That's definitely compelling. I would be into that. But at the same time, that's almost making me wonder if it's got that much of a chance of happening. I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah, we will. That's
all right. Yeah. Let's move on. Next up, Bayley versus Sasha or Asuka. Bayley versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title. I think who did I go first for the last one? Is it your turn to go first?
Yeah, you did. You did. I think you did go first for the last one.
Okay.
This is actually one of the matches. Now, I'm not saying it was built perfectly. I think it definitely could have been built better in some ways. But all things considered, this is one of the matches on SummerSlam that was actually built well, in my opinion. Especially the actual order of Bayley going first. They did the Beat the Clock challenge tonight. That was one of the only things right they did on the Go Home show. I'm just going to be honest. I think Bayley retains here. Because especially with Naomi pinning Bayley, I think Naomi's going to be the next program, which I'm really happy for her. And maybe they'll actually do a proper program this time and not just fucking matches with the title on the line. So yeah, I think Bayley beats Asuka and retains.
So this is where we have to start taking Payback into account, right?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, God, I don't really know if I want to tell everything that I think is going to happen with the women's titles between SummerSlam and Payback, but just know that I do expect Naomi and Bayley to feud over the SmackDown Women's title eventually, but I still think Asuka's going to retain here.
Do you mean Asuka's going to win here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I had it in my dude. I'm looking at the background that I made, and Braun has that blue ass Universal title over his shoulder, and it's right in front of Asuka's shoulder. And I had it in my mind that she was already the SmackDown Women's Champion. So yeah, that's my stupid brain not knowing what it's talking about. But yeah, I think Asuka's winning the SmackDown Women's title here. And then, God, how much are we giving away here, John? Because
not to jump right into it, but I think Asuka's winning the Raw Women's title. That's the thing. I think Asuka's winning a championship, but I just think it's
so. To be clear, you think Asuka's going to do pretty much what Naomi did tonight? She's going to lose her first match and then win the second match.
Yes.
See, and I think the opposite, because so let me frame it this way. For weeks now, I have been thinking in my mind, Asuka is going to beat Bayley, but not Sasha, no matter the order. I was ready to not give a fuck about the order. I was saying Asuka's going to beat Bayley, but not Sasha, because then at Payback, we're going to get a rematch, Bayley versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title, and Sasha versus Shayna for the Raw Women's title. So that is what I'm expecting to happen on Payback. And then, but then Mark in the Discord was like, whoever goes first is losing their title so that they can build up the tension. Will we get Asuka 2 belts?
See, and to me, I can understand that, but let me just go through this point by point on my end. I still believe in the whole thing of Sasha never having a successful title defense as a singles champion. But even more narratively than that, she has been eyeing, caressing, doing all sorts of stuff with the SmackDown Women's Championship. That is endgame for Sasha Banks. That's where her real women's title reign to me is going to begin. Yeah. Because this whole Raw Women's Championship brand, I think, has just been illegitimate from the jump. Secondly, though, when you talk about Payback, not to be cynical, but you know the kind of mood I'm in tonight, and maybe it's just because this is our third recording here, I'm totally expecting Shayna versus Nia for Payback, because we're not getting it, at least right now, at SummerSlam. So, they're going to do Shayna Nia Payback, so that occupies Shayna.
Oh, see, but I think we're going to get Shayna Nia literally, Monday night after Payback, or after SummerSlam, to set up a number one contender for Sasha.
See, right now I don't agree with that. If I'm wrong, I'll own up to it. But right now I don't agree with that. Because what I'm thinking is that we already know that they're going to defend the women's tag titles.
Right.
What I think is that's going to happen earlier in the show. And you can tell Sasha's not going to be in it because she's going to be thinking about regaining the Raw Women's Championship. Because it's Bayley has her title. I don't. She's salty. She even screamed at Asuka, I need to be the champion because
Who
Sasha
are they defending against?
We don't know, actually. We still don't know who they're defending against, which is the weird thing.
Yeah.
But I actually expect them because, I know I'm kind of giving the game away early, which you kind of did earlier with, Otis about SummerSlam, which I'm not going to reiterate for anybody that missed that. But I do expect them to lose the women's tag titles at Payback because I feel like Sasha's head isn't going to be in it because she won't have the Raw Women's Championship. And then you're really going to see the cracks. Plus, here's the thing, too. With Thunderdome now in effect, WWE may just be ready to be okay, it's time. We're not actually going to get physical crowds like we would like. Thunderdome's the closest proxy we can get to real crowds. Let's just do Sasha Bayley finally. So I feel like you're going to really start seeing that progression kick up a bit. So I'm thinking Bayley retains because Bayley's had the dominant record-breaking reign anyway. Like, I expect her to make a calendar year. Sasha's just gotten the title recently. So, again, lose the title. The big obsession's been the Smackdown Women's Championship anyway. You keep needling the pressure for Payback. They lose the women's tag titles. Shayna becomes number one contender, meanwhile, for the Raw Women's Championship. Sasha loses in a rematch. That drives her even further. Like, that's fucking it. Like, I'm in desperation mode. I've lost to Asuka twice now, and we don't have the tag titles anymore. Go after Bayley. And then it's a shame because this really should happen at a Big Four. But what is the next pay-per-view after SummerSlam? Like Clash of Champions or something? Because it's September.
I honestly don't know, dude. Well, after SummerSlam, it's Payback, but then I don't know what's after Payback.
Well, yeah, after Payback. I'm sorry. Well, Payback's just a week after, so forgive me for forgetting about it because that's just so stupidly structured. Yeah. But yeah, like the big September pay-per-view, which I'm just going to assume because I think for the past 2 years it's been Clash of Champions. Clash of Champions, Bayley, Sasha for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So that's just how I see it.
September 20th, Clash of Champions. Holy shit. They're really going to have 3 pay-per-views over a 4-week period.
Yeah.
Shit, man. Okay. Well, you very clearly have your vision, and I have my vision where basically Sasha keeps the Raw Women's title, Bayley wins, or Bayley drops the SmackDown Women's title to Asuka, and then at Payback we get Sasha Shayna, and we're already fucking here, so I might as well say it. Sasha drops the Raw Women's title to Shayna later on in the night, but first she helps Bayley regain the SmackDown Women's title from Asuka. So that's my whole thing, is I think Asuka's going to hold the title for a week. And Sasha, then, at the end of this whole fucking thing, is going to have lost the Raw Women's title to Shayna Baszler. So after Payback, in my universe, Bayley is back to being the SmackDown Women's Champion, but Shayna is the Raw Women's Champion, and Sasha don't want to fuck with her, because at this point, Shayna would have her cronies running around with her now. She's got Marina, she's got Jessamine. They were already on Raw this past week for Raw Underground, so they're probably going to start interfering in her matches on her behalf again, which means championship time to me. And maybe her first defense is against Asuka, maybe it's against Nia, maybe it's a triple threat with all 3 of them, I don't know. But that's when Sasha starts getting jealous of Bayley again, because she doesn't have a title and Bayley does.
All right, I can understand that. We'll have to see which one of us is right, man.
The thing is, my whole game plan falls apart if anything that I think is going to happen at SummerSlam doesn't happen. So I guess I feel good for making these predictions, because if I'm right, holy shit, you'll already know what my predictions for Payback are then. But if I'm wrong, then it blows it up anyway, and I got to make new predictions anyway, so I'm not spoiling anything, you know?
Yeah, I just love that, like, for a lot of these matches, you and I really have just very different visions about what WWE is going to execute. Because already with, like, Mandy and Sonya, like I even said, I feel like Sonya, this is a way, like, the scenic route to get her to join Retribution and stuff like that. So you and I are definitely seeing things differently, but I'm here for it. It's good shit.
All right. So women, let's get to Drew versus Randy. I'm telling you, man, I'm seeing more people thinking that Drew's going to drop the title here than I have in any other match since he won it at WrestleMania. So what do you think? Do you think Drew drops the title to Orton here?
I would only entertain that possibility if I knew that Edge was getting close to getting cleared, and then they would do a Cinderella title reign. Like 9 years away from the ring, and now all this time later, he's WWE champion again.
Right, but not with a fucking... What did he have? The torn what?
Torn pec, right?
I thought that was Elias.
What was it? Was it a bicep, maybe?
It might have been a bicep. I don't know. But he had some kind of torn muscle that's going to keep him out for more than just a month or 2.
Yeah, exactly. So, because of that, I mean, here's the funny thing, dude. If you want the truth, I wish I knew which world title match was main eventing, because I have, like, a narrative kind of happenstance occurring in both matches. We'll obviously get to Fiend Braun in a little bit. But I see, if this is closing the show, if McIntyre Orton is closing the show, which I could believe, honestly, I see Retribution closing SummerSlam. Because I could see I could see Drew retaining. So let me just lock that prediction in. I do think Drew's going to retain. But then he's not even going to really be able to celebrate, because Retribution's going to storm the ring. They're going to tear SummerSlam apart. That's kind of my prediction. Drew retains. If this main events, Drew retains, and then SummerSlam ends with Retribution kind of claiming the ring. And then they really have to focus on Retribution going into Payback, which might be their formal in-ring debut. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say there was somebody in chat earlier that said Retribution challenges Ford and Dawkins for the Raw tag titles or payback, and I was just like, well, that's an interesting take. That could be one way for them to debut, but yeah, I don't know. I like your idea of having them close the show, but I don't necessarily expect Drew Orton to be the final match on the show. I think that Strowman Fiend will be.
right. And again, like, I understand that. I without having the certainty, I can't say it with conviction, but let's just say, even if Retribution doesn't close the show, I just feel like they're going to have some kind of involvement in this match or do something, like either during this match or after this match.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. Well, I will say though, I'm with you. I think Drew's going to retain. I think people are freaking out about Randy winning, maybe for no reason. I mean, maybe their concerns have teeth, but like I don't know. I just feel like Drew is the man right now. It really does kind of feel like they're really giving Drew a run, and not just any run, but like a real run with that title. And I don't think that Orton is going to be the guy to take it off of him. But you never know, man. WWE and Vince have done weirder shit for ratings, and we all know that Orton, although, fucking shit, man, to be fair, Orton versus Big Show was like the lowest rated segment in history of Raw, so maybe Vince will be like, yeah, no, let's not do that. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I am picking Drew, though, to win, to retain, all that stuff. And then we get to the final match, Braun versus The Fiend. Braun defending the Smackdown, or the Universal Championship, I should say, against The Fiend. You already know I want to talk about certain things in this, so I'll let you go first.
I wanted to like this so much more than I ended up liking it, because you already know what I thought the story was going to be. Braun and Bray have such history. I really wanted the story to be, just to make it clear for everybody that might not know, ever since they had that first Raw segment when Fiend was feuding with Rollins, where Bray was kind of screaming out, through the Fiend, why just Rollins, when he had the mandible claw on Strowman. I wanted this to really be, and it seemed like it was going to start that way at Money in the Bank, when it was Mr. Rogers Bray, Funhouse Bray, against Braun. Because remember, he said, the reason we're doing this match is because I don't want the Fiend to hurt you. I promised the Fiend that I can handle this. And I really thought that they were going to run with that narrative. Like, Braun, come on, man. We share this history. Don't make me hurt you. I am like a father to you, this and that, whatever. And they started that way. Maybe WWE felt like they couldn't get that much mileage out of it. And you know what? I'm not going to hold that against them. You got to go with your gut. But I don't even know who the heel in this is anymore. I don't know who the face is anymore. I'm assuming Braun's the heel right now.
Yeah.
And Fiend is the face.
They're kind of both heels.
I mean, a little bit, but...
I mean, dude, that's the thing. Fiend assaulted Alexa. Braun threw her from, 8 feet in the air. They've both really physically harmed an innocent woman. There are no faces in this feud.
And really, Javoris took the words right out of my mouth what my endgame was going to be. I do think Alexa's going to get involved in the finish. But I just don't know, in what context, because there's a part of me that thinks she's going to help Fiend win. But then that might be I don't know. Because she even said, apparently, in an interview, kayfabe interview, the Fiend is mystifying. It just has that effect on you. So if the Fiend changes everybody that he interacts with, how has Alexa changed? Because she hasn't turned on Nikki like I expect her to.
Yeah, but does he really change everybody that he interacts with, or does he just change everybody that he beats?
That's a fair distinction. And I think it would be fairer to say that he changes everybody that he beats, and because it wasn't an official match or whatever, maybe Alexa is the same. But her encounter with him definitely had an effect on her.
Right.
So, against my better judgment, man, and this is actually the hardest match for me to call. I felt really confident in all my predictions, and I know I went out there for some of them. But this is the hardest match for me. I'm going to say that Fiend regains the title. Because keep in mind, now that the Fiend is formally challenging, he was it was, before Braun won it off of Goldberg, but Goldberg beat Fiend at that Saudi show.
Yep.
So this is Fiend's first real shot at it since all that shit went down. I think he's getting it back. So I'm going to go with Fiend for 2-time Universal Champion.
I hope you're right, but I don't expect you to be, because I think that they've been building towards this for months now. I think it's going to come completely out of nowhere. Well, part of it is. But I think that the shaved head and the new look and the new attitude for Braun are all WWE trying to say he's not the same guy that that faced the Fiend before. He's a different guy. He's more powerful. He's more scary. He's stronger. He's bigger. He's everything. He's going to win, and it's going to piss the Fiend the fuck off. And the Fiend is going to beat the shit out of him after the match, and then Otis Dozovic is going to cash in and become the Universal Champion. And I'm saying this with an entirely straight face because I'm not joking at all. I actually think this is what they're going to do.
You know what? I do have to answer the Otis question because he does have the briefcase, and depending on how Sonya Mandy goes, they've got to... Here's the thing. I like the Otis Mandy story to start. But, ever since they let go of the one writer that was in control of it, I feel like it's lost steam. I think we need to refocus on Otis. And what better thing to refocus on him with than the briefcase? So I guess the question I have to answer is, one, is he going to cash in on the show? And two, is he going to succeed or not? I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to say yes, but I think it's going to be a failed cash in.
That's fair. That, to me, honestly, dude, I could see that happening too. I could see him trying to cash in on a beaten down Braun, and Braun. The new story now is that Braun is like the new fucking supervillain of SmackDown, and we need a new superhero to come in and overcome him. And maybe that guy ends up being Keith Lee. We'll have to wait and see.
I'd love that.
I know. Yeah. That would be fucking awesome. But what I am confident about is that Braun is going to retain and Otis is going to try and cash in. I'm less confident that Otis is actually going to win because, again, I don't know how willing to take risks Vince is right now in this extremely trying time as far as ratings go. He might be like, we got to try something new. This isn't working. Or he might be like, we can't push this guy. He might fucking tank the ratings even worse, and we might lose our TV deals. So Vince, is going to do what Vince wants to do. He's going to do what he thinks is best. As far as whether Otis actually wins or not. But I do think that Braun is going to retain. I think the Fiend is going to beat the shit out of him afterwards. He might even do it to the point that Braun will be bleeding from the mouth. The mandible claw and everything, because we've seen that before with the Fiend. And then Otis will try and cash in. And what happens there from there is a lot more up in the air to me. It could be a failed cash-in like you think, or that might go all the fucking way, and Otis fucking Dozovic could be your next Universal Champion. It would be absolutely mind-blowing. It would be absolutely crazy. It would get the sports world talking. It might actually give WWE a flash in the pan as far as cultural relevance and mainstream attention goes. Maybe not for the right reasons, but Vince doesn't give a fuck. We'll see. We'll see. It's a big question mark. I'm penciling in that I think he's actually going to win the thing, but again, if he doesn't win, I would love it if he would not win, and then Keith Lee would be the one that ends up taking the title off of Strowman. That's the kind of that's the kind of rocket ship that would make Keith losing the title to Killer Cross after a month-and-a-half title reign acceptable. Because it's like, well, if this was what you had planned for him, I'm okay with him not winning or not keeping the NXT title for longer then,
Right, yeah, exactly. Very interesting.
Yeah. All right. I guess that ends it as far as our preview predictions for SummerSlam goes. It's kind of crazy that this went so much shorter than our NXT preview predictions, considering there are like 2 fewer matches that we had to predict on for.
Yeah.
And the NXT went like a half hour longer.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
Yeah. I will say that our preview, even though I felt like our positions and the kind of ideas we have in the SummerSlam aftermath were very inspired. I don't really think it moved my hype needle any. I still think I'm at a steady 6.5 out of 10. I feel like a 7 would be disingenuous.
Dude, low-key, it did move my hype needle. I'm up to a 7.
Cool. I'm really happy
because
to
you know
that.
what? In my mind, we're going to end SummerSlam one of 3 ways, right? It depends on match order. So if Drew and Randy close the show, I'm with you. Retribution is going to close the show, and that's going to be really interesting, especially if we get a face reveal, if we find out at least one member that's actually in the group, right?
Right. Oh, dude, imagine if Dijakovic got unmasked and he closed.
Or I was thinking maybe even Ciampa.
That'd be huge too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second, though, if Fiend Braun closes the show, we could very well be closing the show with Otis Dozovic, Universal Champion, or with Braun Strowman, heel monster Universal Champion, and that would get me excited for Keith Lee, especially if the night before Keith Lee lost the title to Cross. That would get me excited for Keith going to SmackDown and challenging Braun, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And the only other thing that's kind of in my mind a little bit is if Sasha Asuka closes the show, because then I wonder if we would actually get Asuka 2 belts.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see, man.
Yeah, that's Asuka ni Beruto, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, that's like, those are the 3 matches that have a chance, I think, to main event. God, watch WWE be like, haha, joke's on you, Dominik Seth is main eventing.
Yeah, totally. Or they like shoehorn Corbin into the card and be like, you know what, he's put his time in, put Corbin in the main event.
Corbin clobbers Otis from behind in the back and takes his briefcase and cashes in and becomes Universal Champion.
Yeah, and then Matt Riddle follows him out because they're still feuding, and it's just a clusterfuck, fuckster-cluck. I don't know. It's fucking all the things.
Yep, a fuster-cluck. Yep.
There you go. So,
oh God, a fluster cuck.
Oh my God, that's what the North American Championship ladder match will be if Cameron Grimes isn't going to the fucking moon.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that too. Fucking Damian Priest, or God forbid, fucking Dream wins that. Oh, what a fluster cuck. Sorry to that.
The only thing worse than a fuster cluck is a flustered cuck.
Yep, exactly. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this preview and predictions and inspired wordplay.
Inspired. God, we're inspirational.
Yeah, we are. Be sure to leave a like as you file out. Click the bell icon for notifications so you can keep up with all that TwitWow goodness. You know, the thing that actually makes the WWE product palatable and interesting. And we'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 because we will be covering TakeOver Kickoff on Twitch. It's Legado del Fantasma versus Breezango versus Team 1-2, Lorcan and Birch, number 1 contender match for the NXT Tag Team Championship against Imperium, which I say that because nobody probably remembers who the NXT Tag Team Champions are because they're barely promoted. And then the actual TakeOver, which begins at 7, so we'll be covering it pillar to post, and should be a really awesome TakeOver, I hope. And then, yeah, SummerSlam the night after at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and I hope to God it doesn't suck. So, yeah, hope to see you guys there, and I'm going to hand it over to Ash and take us home.
From the pillar to the post! I can't...
Exactly.
Good pun, but yeah, let's go with it. Yeah, we'll be covering everything. We'll be covering everything this weekend. Really, everything for the next fucking week, it feels like, because we've got everything. I'll go over that when I get to the end of my outro, though, because I want all of you who enjoyed this to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, click the bell icon to join the notification squad, and follow us on Twitter and on Twitch if you'd like to support the channel, as well as buying our merch on Teespring, donating to our Patreon, sharing this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends, and letting them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. That's right, we are TwitWow, and we are the workhorses of the Y and T WCs, and we are coming at you all week. It's crazy. The only day that we have off is Tuesday, which, you know, on purpose, because that's my birthday, y'all. I'm turning 30 on Tuesday. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. But we've got TakeOver tomorrow. We've got SummerSlam on Sunday. We've got post-SummerSlam Raw on Monday. We've got NXT on Wednesday. We've got Q&A on Thursday. We've got Payback preview predictions and SmackDown live reactions on Friday. And then we've got Payback live reactions next Sunday. So we've got a lot of content coming at your faces over the course of the next